Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. I'm Susan Routledge, your host, and today I have the absolute pleasure of interviewing Lesley Castor. Lesley is the founder of City Retreat, which is now a chain of 3 salons, multi-award winning, and Lesley's journey in our industry is absolutely fascinating. And along the way, she's going to give us some real golden nuggets of how she's developed her business to be the fantastic salon and multi-award winning salon that it is. So enjoy this episode. Lesley, welcome.
Thank you, Susan. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming along. And I was trying to think before, how long have we known each other?
I think we met at the Beauty Awards in 2008. It was the year after you'd won.
Yes,
we
that's
won the
right.
year
Yeah,
after, and you
that's
came
right,
over
yes.
and very wonderfully congratulated me, and we've been friends ever since.
Which has just reminded me, because we both did Employer of the Year together, didn't we? And ended up terribly drunk the night before.
Oh,
But that was good fun.
It was.
I can always remember Andy Green saying to us, "We've got no sympathy for you."
But you must have performed well because you won. I just went to pieces.
But I think you won again the year after, didn't you?
I think so, yeah. I can't remember exactly when it was.
But I mean, you have been in the industry for years and years as well. And I think, am I right, you started teaching early on before you had the salon?
I did, yes, yeah. Well, my journey in the beauty industry started when I was 28. I was a bit late to the party. I did lots of other things beforehand.
Like what?
Oh, all sorts, really. Well, I had to leave school straight away. I didn't have the opportunity to go to college, and I didn't even think about going into anything like beauty therapy because the town that I came from didn't have any beauty salons. There was hairdressers, and the odd salon would have a little nail bar in that you could get your nails painted, and that was as far as beauty was. You had to actually travel into Middlesbrough, and it was called the Beauty Parlour in Binns.
Love it.
Oh, and that was the only thing, and I never, ever even give it a thought. I just left school, got my first job, which I absolutely hated, and I got stuck in it for 5 years.
What was it?
I worked in a factory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not many people know that.
Ah.
I worked in a factory. Absolutely hated, didn't like the culture at all. I didn't feel like I fit in to it at all.
Yeah.
I made lots of friends because there was lots of groups there was lots of people that weren't, the atmosphere wasn't always particularly friendly.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that would stab you in the back quite quickly, put it that way.
Yeah.
So I didn't like that. And then I got married, moved to Newcastle when I got married, and started working at the dental hospital and had a few jobs in between. And then I opened a business with my husband. We both started my husband was a dental technician. And he always had a goal in his head that he would one day, he would move to a bigger city and then open a laboratory of his own. And that's what he did. So I went along with him and I went back to night school and I learned how to do shorthand, learned how to do typing and learned how to do business administration. So I could do that side of things and he did all the technical side. So we did that for a while. And then I think it was being together all day and all night. I thought, I think I need to do something for myself here. And I met, at the time I was going to a salon in the village where I lived at the time. And I think I was so inspired by the therapist that was there. She was just lovely. Can I name her on here?
You can.
She's Janice she was in Clevedon Beauty Clinic.
Oh, lovely.
And I used to go, I'd had a minor operation. I couldn't get waxed anymore. So I thought, I'll go along. I'll have electrolysis. One treatment, it'll all be gone. I won't have to do anything ever again. She said, no, Leslie, you've got to keep coming back. It's a cumulative effect. So you'll have to keep coming. So I did. And every couple of weeks I went up to this salon and had my treatment off Janice and a couple of the other girls as well. And Janice was just so lovely. And I thought, what a lovely job she's got. And I would love to do it. Why didn't I think of doing anything like this? But as I've just said, there wasn't anything that would inspire me to think that at the time. And so as time went on, I had my children, and I said to my husband, I'd really like to do something different. And he said, well, just go for it. So I went back to college when I was 28.
Oh, wow.
Went to see a lovely lady, Karen Cummings, who was a lecturer at the college at the time. And she said, it's hard work, And I said, oh, I've got a good work ethic. I'm not frightened of hard work. She said, it's not just painting nails. And I said, no, I don't expect that. And I went to college, and I think that was the start. That first day at college was the start of the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely loved it from day one.
And I think until you do go to college, you don't realise how much it actually
Is
there's
involved. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
quite surprised actually.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
depth that we had to go into to learn everything about the body, about how we function, how the skin functions, and all of the things that we can do to help people.
Yeah, yeah.
And help people look after themselves.
It's quite interesting from when you were like saying about your early employment, when you were in a culture that wasn't a warm, friendly culture. You can see how like now you've developed that as a big thing in your business. Your team are absolutely fabulous, and
They
I know
are.
that is so important to you.
It
So you
is.
can sort of see. I always think you sometimes have to like experience something that you don't want to know what you do want.
Absolutely.
And as I say, you like now do that in bucket loads.
Yeah.
So going to college, where did you go from there?
From there, I did it was the first year of NVQ, so we did the NVQ level 3. It took 2 years. It was full time for 2 years, and I just loved every minute of it. And then I got a job in a salon in Belmont in Durham. Then I got another job in a salon in Newcastle, and then I went back to college to see my old lecturers, and one of them said to me, why don't you come back and teach? And I thought, oh, don't think I could do that. And she said, no, seriously, she said, you should come back and teach. So it planted a seed, really. So then I applied for the teaching course and thoroughly enjoyed all of the learning and everything I discovered about things that I'd never even thought of before, and teaching people and just the education side of it. I love that as well. So I did that. I did my first teaching certificate. I did my cert ed, and I did my degree, which I was really proud of myself because I didn't think I'd ever be able to achieve a degree, and I did. And I got a teaching job, and I taught at South Tyneside College for 8 years, and thought I would do it forever, to be honest. But then I got a bug to get my own salon. I used to look at the professional beauty magazines thinking, oh, look at these salons in London and look at these spas. They're all beautiful. And I felt like we didn't have a lot in the city centre. And there was no spas in the city centre them days. Well, it still isn't. I think it probably still is. Well, there is one. There's one in one of a couple of hotels. They've got some spas. But I just had this idea that I'm going to bring the spa to the city. And told my husband what I wanted to do. And he said, yeah, if that's what you want to do, go for it. And I went for it in a very big way. Opened a large salon, I prefer to call it, rather than a day spa, because we didn't have a pool or a jacuzzi, but we had a sauna, a steamer, a private spa suite. And we had 6 treatment rooms, a nice reception area, nail bar. So I went all out and
I know. I mean, the thing is, because whereas like I started, there was just me, and then I got one employee, then the next employee, and grew gradually. I can just remember that you just like were just like, right, you just did it, didn't you?
I
kind
did.
of thing.
I did.
Would you do that again?
Probably not. If I knew the journey that I was going to go on, seeing the long journey now that it's 20 years now, which has gone so quickly. But I think the first few years were the scariest years of my life. And I can remember looking back thinking, oh my goodness, what have I done? Because my husband's business was successful from day one. He worked very, very hard. He worked ridiculous hours. He'd come home at 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes and go back to work at 6. And I'd have to take his tea because he didn't have time to come out and put the tools down. And it was very, very busy, but it was successful, and it helped us to get where we were at the time that I went to college. We were enjoying lots of things. We'd had investments, and we'd done very well. And I can remember thinking after 18 months of opening the salon, why have I done this? We stand to lose everything that we've gained over the last, I think it was about 19 years. But he was really supportive and helped me get through those few years where we started off with no clients, 4 of us, and my mum, bless her. My mum sat on reception. And
my mum did that as well.
I think there's a lot of beauty mums out there, isn't there? And we just gradually built it. There'd be days I'd go home and my husband would say, "How many clients have you had today?" 1. I had an eyebrow wax, and I thought, you'd be, that's not going to pay the rent, it's not going to pay all the bills and what have you.
It'd be quite a scary time,
it
was it?
Scary, but because it was big, we were VAT registered as well, so we had the VAT bills coming in, and it was really, really, really scary. So I probably wouldn't recommend anybody else do that unless you've got nerves of steel, which I didn't have at the time. To be honest, I don't know how I got through it.
How long did it take before you felt you started to get established?
At least 2 years, I would say, before I was starting to make ends meet, thinking, actually, do you know what? If I keep working really hard, I can do this.
Yeah.
And so I did, worked every day, 7 days a week. I had 2 children. I just dropped them off at school and then see them again at 9 o'clock at night. And it was work that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
I was meeting clients every day, and I soon built a regular column, and the girls started building their regular columns, and we got, by 2007, so about 3 years, we were doing very well.
Yeah. I don't think people realise the determination and the hours. They just see a successful business, don't they? You know, and they don't realise that what goes into it.
In between.
But looking back, I mean, it's phenomenal that what you've done with the business. But I can imagine that was quite scary, because I can always remember when I was very first started. I was like you, working all the hours and things, because you don't want to turn anyone away, do you?
No.
And the thing is that, I was grown and grown kind of thing, but I was like reinvesting all the time. And I can always remember the very first accountant I had going after a year with my accounts. And I'm like, saying, well, you may as well get a job somewhere else, because you're not making anything. And I was gutted, because I was thinking, no, this will work. But I think as well, that just made me think, yes, I will.
More determined.
And you go without holidays and time off, and you do miss things with your family and things, just because you're building this business. But then, it reaps its rewards. But it's it is quite a hard time, isn't it? When you are grown kind of thing. But then, Lesley, of course, you just don't leave it at that, do you?
No. I'm quite an ambitious person, I think.
I can always remember, obviously we're going to carry on talking about growing your business, but I can always remember every time at the awards, you'd be like, I'm not entering again.
I'm not putting myself through this again.
And then be like, I've entered.
There I am the next year.
So from when did you, obviously I know you moved the salon to a new location. And then from there, where did Salon 2 and 3 come from?
Well, that only happened quite recently. Before COVID, I'd kind of had meetings with the landlord and decided on the premises and what I was going to do there, and pretty much had everything sorted out. And then COVID hit. So that pretty much went on the back burner for the first lockdown. And really I concentrated on keeping what I had strong, trying to keep what I had going.
Yeah.
And just kind of put those thoughts to one side, because the night of the lockdown, I'm sure you and a million other business owners must have just wanted to, I could have cried, because I thought I've spent all this time and all these years building this, and it could all just fall away.
I had a slightly different perspective, because I was in
you?
Thailand.
Of course, yeah.
So I was over in Thailand, and I always remember Vicky, one of the girls who works for me, saying, before I was going to go, saying, I think this coronavirus might be quite big. And I was thinking, no, it'll be fine. So off I went to Thailand. So I didn't have a TV. So I was just getting updates from the girls kind of thing. And it just didn't seem to make any sense, especially the toilet roll thing when there was no toilet rolls.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking, why is there no toilet rolls?
Yeah.
But so in some ways it was good for me because I was there and I didn't see all of the panic and everything like that. So, but obviously then when we came back, it was like a real culture shock because we hadn't been away that long and it was like the whole world had turned upside down. But yeah, I mean, that was like it was a hard time. Did you manage to maintain your team or?
Yes, I did. Yeah, all of them. We got together regularly on Zoom meetings. We had afternoon teas together while we were having a Zoom meeting. So we did that weekly, all got our heads together and talked about what we would do and we were going to come back better and stronger.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, we'll get back. And I think when they announced furlough, it was kind of, phew, right, let's start thinking forward again now. So we got together and... I felt like I was on my computer every day, all day, either talking to the girls or putting something out for the clients.
Yeah.
I did all sorts of things. Gave out instructions on how to do things at home. And then I thought I might put myself out of business here in the longer term. But I actually stripped my skin down and did a full facial, talked them all the way through which products to use and to continue your home care at home. This is what you need. And I did little parcel drops to people. And fortunately, we had memberships by that time. So our members kept supporting us, which was great. And I just conveyed this to the girls regularly and said, don't worry about anything. It'll be fine when we come back. And they did. They all came back and we just got straight back on with things. They were fantastic, actually. I couldn't have done it without them.
But I think as well, it was a time where you strengthen your team and also like strengthen like your bond with your clients as well.
Yeah.
Because things like that, like doing a facial online and things, no one had anything else to do, so clients loved it. It's one of those great things. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that I think it gave a lot of people the opportunity to get out of the industry, but as well, I think that for the likes of you, me, and a lot of like salon owners, and I know everyone we've got in Beauty Directors Club, we just all sort of like really strengthen and think, yes, we're just going to come out of this bigger and better kind of thing. And it was a time where you could really like sit back and think as well, because you didn't have, so it was a great time to like think, I'll change that and we could change this and do this. Whereas when you're like head down just working and working, you sometimes can't see the wood for the trees. So
That's
it's
right,
like but now looking back, I mean, it seems as if we're only closed for a fortnight.
I know.
It's crazy. So you came back, obviously, and then
picked up again with the Gosforth salon. And fortunately, at the time it had happened, I hadn't signed the contract. So basically negotiated with him, look, if this happens again, what happens rent-wise? Because I had to keep continuing to pay my rent to my landlord. And he agreed a 3-month period, which was fortunate because we were closed down for another 3 months at the end of the year. So we started that. So that was open and closed, open and closed, open and closed. And then I got the opportunity of another salon, and just seemed like too good an opportunity to turn down. So talked again to my husband about it, put lots of thought into it. Will I take it? Will I not? And decided, look, let's give it a try. And so now we have got the 3, which is great.
And is that it, Lesley?
No, that's it, definitely. That's it, yeah.
But it's quite nice as well because, I mean, I haven't been to all 3, but I've been to 2, and they're quite different, aren't they? So they're all like, they've got like a different...
they're all different, different vibe in each one. Really, although the services are the same. I've tried to keep the standard of service the same and the same welcome for the clients, so that the clients get that same feel when they come in, even though the building's different and the setup's slightly different. What I've tried to create is that culture throughout all 3.
Yeah. How do you manage that? Because I mean, building a team is like a feat in itself, isn't it? But obviously, you've got 3 locations. How
Hmm.
do you keep that team together, and how do you like manage those standards?
Mm. Well, I visit them all. I do go around them all regularly. In the beginning, I went round more than I do now, obviously, because they were getting started. And I would be there. I'm always in our Jesmond salon on a weekly basis anyway. And the Grey Street salon, I went there a couple of times a week on a weekly basis just to get the team embedded. And Gosforth, I've got the girls at our Gosforth salon are the team from Jesmond, and I make sure they all work in Jesmond first, so they get that culture,
Yeah.
they get the ethos that we hope to achieve with our clients. My philosophy in the very beginning was to create a salon that people would come in, have their treatment, and walk out thinking, oh, wow, that
Yeah.
was amazing. She was amazing, or he. We don't have any male therapists, but you can't
Yeah.
really specify. That was amazing. My therapist was amazing, and the place was amazing, and I can't wait to go back there. And I always say to my girls, if you can get that feeling from your client as they're walking out the door,
Yeah.
you'll always have them coming back to you.
Yeah.
And so they all start in Jesmond, and then we filter them off to the other 2 salons once they've become kind of established in our ethos.
Yeah. And so, with your team, do you tend to look for therapists who are already qualified and have worked somewhere, or how do you build that team?
It depends what skill set we're looking for, really. If we're in need of somebody that has got experience, I will look for somebody with experience. However, I have taken on quite a few girls from college as well, especially when we opened the 2 salons, because we needed around about 6 to 8 members of staff altogether.
Wow.
And just I know, just after COVID, there just wasn't any. There
Yeah.
just wasn't the experienced staff out there. So I did an internship with some girls from college. I took 6 newly qualified therapists. Some were level 3, some were level 4. Actually, one was level 5. We did 6 weeks of intensive training at the Grey Street salon. So we set up 3 beds in one of the larger treatment rooms, and we did continuous training with myself and Amy. Whilst the other girls were concentrating on looking after Jesmond, we got the girls up and ready with this 6-week training course. One of them left at the end of it, which I was gutted about, actually, because I just spent all that time with you, and you're leaving. But she decided the industry wasn't for her. But the other 5 are still here, so that's great.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, as well, doing that, they're automatically into your standards,
Yeah, that's it.
it's. I always think it's a harder thing to take someone who's worked somewhere else and quite often has like learned the ways of that salon, which aren't
Yeah,
necessarily
necessarily the
the
same
ways
as yours.
that you want to do in yours, which aren't necessarily wrong. It's just a different way of
Different.
working, and sometimes it's quite hard to explain that, like, sort of it has to be done this way
Yeah.
because, even though there's nothing wrong with the other way, kind of thing. So that's brilliant. Would you do that again?
I would do that again, actually, because I enjoyed it as well, because I do like I like working with the girls, and I always do when we get a new member of staff, whether they've got the experience and come from another salon or not. I always work with them anyway,
Yeah.
and go through how we do things. It's like the McDonald's scenarios. This is how we do things here.
Yeah.
And this is our rule book, and this is what you need. Well, not rule book, but this is how we conduct ourselves, and this is how we carry out our treatments. And our clients expect that. And if they don't get it, they sharp tell us.
Yeah, but
So-
it's those little touches as well
It
that make
is.
all the difference, isn't
Yeah,
it? You know, it's
yeah.
like those things that like make you stand out, which don't necessarily cost anything. But it's like the things that people remember. It's not always the treatment that someone remembers. It's the little touches around.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about what you do, because there are like lots and lots of little things that you can see that like there's a lot of thought gone into, which just make it such a beautiful experience, which, you know, like it doesn't necessarily cost, but it just makes that impression, doesn't it?
Yeah.
An overall impression.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
like fabulous.
100%. Yeah.
Um, So with things like that, all of your little touches that you do, are they just things that you thought of?
Oh, I'll have to think for a minute, actually. I haven't been to a lot of salons and spas to pick up bits, although I can't say I haven't picked anything up from anywhere. But I think it's because I was a client before I was a therapist.
Yes.
I think that helped, because when I used to go to Janet, I used to come out thinking, oh, that was wonderful. And I wanted to give that feeling back, because I used to feel great when I came out, and she always did a nice treatment. And I worked in some salons that, sometimes it would be a case of, your client comes in for a facial, and you do your facial, the mask goes on for 15 minutes, you go off, and that's your lunch break. or you've got an eyebrow wax in, so you'll have to get your lunch and your next mask. And it wasn't quite that wasn't the way I wanted to work, really.
But back to what we were saying, sometimes you have to know what you don't want to
know
know
what you do want. And I just think it's somebody's me time. They're coming to you, they're paying good money for these treatments, and it's not cheap. Some people will save up to come to us. Some people can afford to come to us easily, but there's always those people that have saved up, and I want to make sure that they think that's money well spent. Because I have come out of a treatment once and thought that was £100 I would have rather spent on something else. Because I hadn't enjoyed the experience, and the massage wasn't very good. So it's all about for me and for the team, it's all about making sure that the client doesn't come out feeling like that, and what can we add to the treatment that makes it that little bit more special. Sometimes the girls have had an input as well. The girls would say, oh, Lesley, and I think, that's a lovely idea. And we'll instigate things there. But generally it's just, I don't know, I think I just had a vision of what I wanted to provide, and it's built on it over the years.
And obviously it's reaped its rewards. Let's talk about awards, Lesley.
I know. I'm actually really, really proud when I look back at the awards, actually. I feel very, very proud.
How many awards, or have you lost count now?
I don't know whether you'd call a finalist an award, but we've got over 35. I think it was 35 last time I counted, so it'll be about 35, 36, 37 finalist awards. We've won 6. We were highly commended at Babtac last year, which was lovely. I was gutted that we didn't win, but being highly commended is really, So about 40, which is good. And I do it because I keep saying I'm not going to do it next year, and then I do it because I think our standards still the same. We don't slip. We never compromise on standard. And for me, having all of the historical every year, getting into the finals, or our clients can see that yes, we've won some. We don't win them all, unfortunately, but there are some amazing salons out there, and everybody deserves the accreditation. But it's nice that we can show salons that yes, we've been up there with them continuously now. I think there's only been 1 year that we haven't been, and that was because we did get through to the regionals, but we didn't actually win the regional. That's the only time we haven't been. And I think that's why I keep doing it as well, because that year I felt the awards are tonight and I'm not there. I just love the experience as well.
I know, it's such a
wonderful evening. And seeing everyone, and it's lovely.
And it is quite addictive, isn't it? It is. I must admit, I do enjoy the judging side now rather than... It's just lovely to watch and see everyone, because when you're in the awards, it just your heart's going so fast, isn't it? It's like the adrenaline starts to run, but it's like it is just so lovely. So you're obviously going to carry on with awards, are you?
I did say that last year would be my last. We are in for Salon of the Year and Team of the Year in March, so fingers crossed. And then I'm not quite sure from there.
So I always ask for some golden nuggets that you would pass on to anyone who's listening or watching, kind of thing. Because the thing is that, I know we always talk about this when we have lunches or anything. There's always so many different things, isn't there, that you think, oh my word. We would like the advice that you would give to someone who's either just starting or something that you would like to pass on. What would you say, Lesley?
Right, okay. First of all, I think the biggest thing's location. look for a location where you've got lots of footfall.
Yeah.
It can be very hard when you haven't got lots of footfall, because then you become a destination salon, and that takes an awful lot of marketing, an awful lot of time. So look at your location, make sure it's easily accessible.
Yeah.
Maybe don't go too big when you start. However, when I look back, but I was fortunate. I had a lot of support, and I worked really hard, and I've got where I am today, but it could have been a different story altogether. But I'm so grateful that it's worked out the way it has, because in the beginning I can remember thinking, oh my goodness, what on earth. In fact, we had a chat in the room there. I had to sell my car once just to pay my VAT bill. I think I had a £12,000 VAT bill and thought, how on earth am I going to pay this? So I went and got another car on finance because it was interest free. And they gave me cash for my old car, and I paid my VAT bill with it. So I wouldn't recommend anybody does that. But yeah, just, have a clear vision of what you want, have a contingency, and follow your dreams.
Yeah.
And if your heart's in the right place and you're passionate about what you do, that's what's carried me through. I just love what I do. I'm totally passionate about the beauty industry. I love it. I never want to give it up. And that's what's got me through. I never get up on a morning thinking, I don't want to go today. I love getting up in the morning and think, oh, what's today going to bring, and who's in the salon today? And the first thing I do is look at the diary, and I just love everything about it. And I love the girls. The girls are all just amazing.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that from your team as well.
They
you can
are,
see that they all like really, really love what they do as well, kind of thing. And it's really like just a lovely atmosphere.
Yeah.
So what are your plans for the next steps and kind of thing?
I keep changing my mind. I keep thinking, well, it's probably time I start to think about retirement. And then I think, no, I'm not ready to retire yet. When I was few years ago, I was heading towards my late 50s. I thought, when I get to 60, that's when I'll start putting the plans in action. And because it might take quite a while to, for your exit strategy. But now I'm there, I'm thinking, I'm still really loving this, and it's going well, and so I'm just going to carry on and see how things go. I'd like to do other things within the industry, but I'm not quite sure what. I'm not an overly confident person. I wish I was. I wish I had more confidence, because sometimes I think, you've done this, you've done that, you've achieved a lot, which I'm really grateful for. And sometimes I think I wish I could push myself a little bit more and have a bit more confidence to do that. But I'm quite happy where I am at the moment. So I think I'll stay where I am, where I'm comfortable at the moment. But
the
I would
thing
like
is,
to do
how
other
you've
things.
got the salon set up as well. You've got it set up so well that, like, you can, like, the girls quite happily just run that, wouldn't they? If you wanted to, or decided you wanted to go somewhere. And like, I always think doors open at the right time as well.
Yeah.
But I'm a little bit like you. I think if I was to retire, what would I do, kind of thing? Because I think when it is something that you absolutely love, and you and I and like so many like salon owners or professionals that I know as well, you can tell when someone's got that passion and things, and it's like then it's not like work. You still have the ups and downs and things, but then I think that just stops it getting boring. It's like, if every day was like a dream day, then you just you take it all for granted. But I think because there's always like, what I love about our industry is there's just always something new. There's always something changing. There's always something or somebody new coming into the industry. Or it's just ever evolving, and I just think it's so lovely. And
the people.
I was just going to say, every person is so lovely. Well, every person I've ever met is so lovely.
It's lovely just to get to. I love coming to professional beauty, to the roundups and things like that, because it's just so full of lovely people, and everybody, we're all on each other's side, which is lovely.
I know, that's the thing. I don't know whether you can remember years ago when I used to run the network events locally. I can always remember when I first started doing those, and everyone was like, oh, well, my competitors are going to be there. And I was like thinking, there's enough work for everyone. And then when everyone was together, there's just like no competition. And I think that's what we see in the Beauty Roundup events at Professional Beauty. It's just so lovely to have everyone in the room and sort of like everyone just passing on ideas and learning from each other. And to me, that's what it's all about.
It is.
It is such a lovely, lovely industry. And I mean, there are, as I say, so many different things that you can. I always love the fact as well that you can take just one element of the industry and go and turn that into your whole career as well, which there isn't a lot of other industries that you can do that. You can go worldwide. But so is there any final golden nugget that you would like to pass on to anyone?
Just other than what I've said, really, just go for it. But make sure you've got backup if you need it. Yeah. Don't put too much at risk. But if you've got a dream, then follow it. But stick to your vision. Don't get sidetracked. Don't compromise. Stick to your vision and it'll work for you. Yeah,
because I think that's the entrepreneurial side, isn't it? There's always like the next shiny object kind of thing. And especially when you're at the shows or anything like that, there's so many pieces of equipment and you think, oh, I need that.
Have another one.
Yeah.
I'm a bit guilty of that, I must admit. But just when I say stick to your vision, I mean, don't sway from... In times of hardship, don't compromise. Stick to your guns and make sure that you deliver what you've wanted to what you set out to deliver in the first place. And enjoy it. Enjoy it.
But I can see that in Bucket Loads with you. But that then you can see that in your team as well. They're all in the same mindset. It does become like a magnetic thing, doesn't it? You like attracts like kind of thing. And do you find that when you're recruiting now, do you find that you are getting the right people coming in?
I mean, we get some people coming in for an interview and you can tell straight away, you think, no, they're not quite for us. And then when I've get sat down. Sometimes you see somebody and you're not sure and they sit down and start talking to you and they smile at you and you make that eye contact and you just think, oh, she's lovely. Because that's the thing to recruit on in this industry. It's the passion that they've got for the job. They can have all the skills in the world, but if they haven't got that passion, then they're not going to give you 100%. And you're never going to get 100%. I always say to people in any industry, really, you will get out what you put in. And if you're willing to put in your heart and soul and all your passion into something, then you'll be rewarded for that and you'll get out. You reap what you sow, don't you? So
totally. Yeah. I always like to say, I always recruit on personality and passion you, because I always think you can teach somebody anything. You can teach skills or change skills and things like that. But someone's overall aura and attitude kind of thing is
the most important.
And then reaps the rewards that you have no doubt. Your business is absolutely phenomenal, and it's so inspiring to so many.
Well, I hope so.
But Lesley, this has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure for me as well. Thank you so much for inviting me along.
And long may your huge success continue.
Thank you very much.